Alright everyone, it is Dokkan time again, and this is going to be kind of a quick, short video for two, not necessarily, I'm not going to say that they're underwhelming, but I am going to say they're very, not 100% important EZAs. I feel like I just had to throw it out there though, and I wanted to go over the units just to get it out in the wild. You know, you never know who's going to be looking for a build. So this video is going to be a how to build for Marcarita and Kyawei. Kyawei? Caway is how they pronounce it in the English version. Caway. Caway. I would say both of these units are just straight up full dodge. They're both specifically kind of supportive units in nature. Specifically Marcarita. She is 100% a support unit, so there's no reason not to give her just straight up full dodge. Additionals do help. But at the end of the day, you know, she's still a full dodge unit. And then Kyawei is a little bit different, though. I will say she's a little bit more complex into the idea that she has like a giant paragraph for a freaking kit. And I would kind of suggest that you do decide how you're going to use her. This is a unit I feel you're going to be taking into Super Battle Road, Extreme Super Battle Road, Burst Mode, Battlefield / Ultimate Clash. You know, those kind of events where you can stun, seal, lock, lower attack, and defense. Those are the kind of fights you're going to take Caway into. Whereas Marcarita, you could technically take into more difficult fights being just a full dodge unit. And you could just straight up kind of hope that she survives and dodges. So, but anyways, so I'm going to start with Marcarita because probably most people will want to know about the Harley Quinn Angel. So, let's just go over her kit. She does have like two 200% leaders. Now on Global, she doesn't have this, but on Global, she also has access to, or on JP, she has Jiren as a 200% leader, AGL Jiren, which is not currently available on Global, but hopefully will be soon. Otherwise, her only 200% option is the Z Kid Gohan Carnival unit. Otherwise, she's a 170 on all other teams. But she is a 150 Universe 11 leader. She greatly raises a defense, and she lowers enemies' attack and also seals. So she does have some utility. As far as her passive goes, you know, 110 attack and defense is not much. 50% chance to dodge. She builds up 55% attack and defense with each attack performed. That maxes out twice, so you perform 2 attacks, and she has max buff right there. She is a Universe 11, primarily a support unit at key +3 attack and defense plus 50%. But she will also give an additional attack and defense plus 20% to Realm of Gods, Siblings Bond, and Bond of Master and Disciple allies as well. So that would be a 70% support, which is very good. She also gets another additional chance of evading plus 20%, and randomly changes key spheres certain type to rainbow key spheres when there's another Universe 11 or Bond of Master and Disciple ally attacking in the same turn. That's very handy as well. We love rainbow orb changers here. It helps out LRs. So she's actually a very good floating unit specifically for AGL Jiren once he comes out on Global or is on JP. She also reduces the damage received by 30% when all allies attacking in the same turn are Universe 11. Very unlikely, but it is potentially possible and is something to keep in mind. She also gets another additional damage reduction of 11% for all allies. Wait, what? Plus an additional damage reduction of 11% for all allies within the turn as the third attacker in turn when all allies attacking the same turn are Universe 11. Wow, that's crazy. She gives 11% damage reduction to Universe 11 allies. You know, if a Universe 11 was actually like a good, crazy category with lots of different characters to utilize, I would say that's insane. But otherwise, that's just another buff to Jiren, really. I mean, that's all it is. It's just an extra buff to Jiren and Topo. I mean, that's really all it is. Very good support unit for Universe 11. Innocence, Brainiac, Solid Support, Cold Judgment, Shocking Speed. More than likely, the only links you'll ever have up are Shocking Speed and Shattering the Limit, perhaps. A lot of these other ones you probably won't see too often. She is on other categories, but I would 100% tell you the only time you should be using her is probably Bond of Master and Disciple, Universal Survival Saga, or Universal 11. Other teams, I don't think she'll be able to be used at her maximum value, but that's probably about where you want her, as Universe 11 solely. As far as her link partners go, she's not going to really have too many. You could potentially rock her with Vados over here if you so chose to. But she's a floating support unit, so at the end of the day, aside from linking up with other gods, she's just going to be there to be supporting. Her actual supportive units are kind of irrelevant. So let's go ahead and go take a look over at the defense calculations for Halvard over here. So as you can see, her defense isn't anything to really, like, call home about. Full build up with 40% support on a double super, hitting 1.2 mil is not very high. Her start of defense is actually very nice, though. Start of turn defense being above 500k, being a supportive unit, it means that most normals in all of the game, except for like the newest, hardest fights, that are pumping out 700k normals and so forth, it makes it so she can take those normals. So she can tank normals if they actually bleed through for the most part. Not very well, but she can still do it, especially with that damage reduction. So it is possible that she's actually very solid as far as even if she doesn't dodge. It's just that she has to dodge supers. She has to dodge supers specifically. So I would suggest, once again, 55% build, just give her level 7 dodge. And then eventually when you do manage to get some dupes for her, whenever that is, just put out the rest into a dodge, and then the rest into additional specifically. There's no reason to give her crit. So, with all that being said, we will move on to Caway. Kyawei. Sorry. So as far as her only 200% options, it's either Roshi or it's going to be... Wait a minute, what? Hold on a sec. Is this girl not a Peppy gal? I just realized Marcarita is not a Peppy gal. That's funny. I just realized she is not a Peppy gal. That is so funny. That is so funny. This goddess is literally... This angel is not a Peppy gal. That's so funny. That's so funny. Okay, anyways, back to Caway. So her 200% options are actually going to be Jiren as well. Jiren does give 200% to Universal Survival Saga allies. And also for Turtle Skull, Master Roshi is 200%. Master Roshi is 200% Peppy gal. So, she is a 150 Peppy gal leader. She greatly raises attack and defense on super and greatly lowers enemies' attack and defense. So we already know that she's a utility-based unit. Key plus 4 attack and defense 140. Another attack and defense 140 when there is another Peppy gal's unit on the team. Plus an additional attack and defense 140 again, and a 70% chance of attack and defense plus 40% when performing a super. She has a 70% chance to stun the attacked enemy she is attacking. She has a 50% chance of launching an additional super. She has a 50% chance of evading. And then she gets another plus 20% evasion chance when there is a tournament participants category enemy, which is actually very, probably a key thing to remember, specifically for certain fights. But then she gets plus an additional defense plus 40% and attacks effective against all types when performing a super attack if the target enemy is in attack down, defense down status, or if the enemy is sealed. And then she actually auto crits and launches an additional super attack if the enemy is stunned. So as you can see, she is all of this right here is purely taking advantage of status effects. So if you go into a fight and you cannot apply status effects, you basically lose half of her kit. So that is something to keep in mind and remember. And also to remember that she does have 70% chance to dodge if you're fighting a tournament participants enemy. This is a good thing because tournament participants can be certain Majin Buu enemies. It can be certain Dragon Ball Saga enemies. It can be anything from a tournament specifically. So hit could be, I mean, obviously, you know, tournament of power, but my point is like, you know, the Universe 6 versus 7 fight, if a unit is specifically from that, could be technically on the tournament participants enemy list. So she could be usable for that. As far as her links go, they're largely irrelevant, but Battle Diva is probably the most primary link you're going to want to go for to get more dodge chance. And she's only on 3 categories, which is why she's honestly pretty poor to be using in general. But I would say you'll find a use for her in ESBR, Super Battle Road, perhaps certain burst modes where you can abuse the lower attack and steal and seal and stun. And as far as her link partners go, it's just going to be other tournament girls and other peppy gals primarily, as per usual for most peppy gals in the game. But anyways, let's go ahead and go take a look at her defense compliments of Halvard again. So she's got quite the few chances here, but with a peppy gal ally on the team, with that great chance to proc, if the enemy is stunned, with 40% support, she can get up to like 2.2 million defense, man. That's crazy. Mind you, she doesn't have damage reduction or guard or nothing, so I mean, that is gonna make it so Caway is not doing amazingly well, but you know, that is still some respectable defense, you know. Post super getting up to 1 million defense is actually pretty good. That's pretty good for a unit that is specifically here to lower attack, lower defense, stun, seal. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's pretty reasonable. I think it's good enough is basically what I'm implying. Is she's good enough for the content that she's aiming to be in. But yeah. So I don't have any role tips specifically for these units, because the only thing you should be running them on is exactly what they should be running on. So let's go back to Marcarita. Like I said before with Marcarita, she is primarily, most of her kit is all straight up Universe 11. Like half of her kit is Universe 11 and then Realm of Gods. I mean, she's only supporting Universe 11 primarily, and then like, you know, Realm of Gods and Sibling Bonds and Bond of Master and Disciple are just getting it like 20%. So that's not very much at all right there. She primarily is just straight up a Universe 11 unit. You're going to want to put her on Jiren or Topo's team specifically, if at all possible. That is what you want to rock her on specifically. So she's just here to support and dodge and get out of the way. So 55% just level 7 dodge. And then once you get dupes with her, just go ahead and give her more dodge and then fill out the rest into additional. This is what it should look like before you add the equipment. After you add equipment, you know, do whatever, but this is the minimum that you should be at right here. I would suggest dodge orbs, straight up, just if you have them to bleed. You know, this is why I always have this on here now, is this infinite equip, because this is the unit that you're not going to use every day. You're not going to use this unit all the time. I think this is a perfect example of a unit where using infinite equips is warranted, because you can remove these level 5 dodge equips from like one of your best dodging units and then just go place it on Marcarita for the 1 or 2 times that you actually need to use her, and then remove them again and go put them back onto the unit that you want to. So this is why you should always be using infinite equips now at this point in the game's life. So let's go ahead and go look at the builds for Caway. So for Caway, she's a little bit different. Caway, once again, 55%, just go level 7 dodge. That's her primary focus, is she just wants to be dodging and technically supporting. I'll get into that in just a second here. But as far as her builds go, you know, level 15 dodge, kind of similar. You notice it's pretty much similar to exactly Marcarita. Level 15 dodge, put the rest into additional, dodge, 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 dodge. But if you're being wise about how this unit should be used, the content that you're going to bring this unit into, you might not be caring too much for the dodge. You know, maybe you're only going to be using this on tournament participant fights, or 50% dodge is enough for you, and you want to abuse her super attack effects, in which case I would say there is an argument to be had to just give her level 15 additional, so that you can take advantage of the fact that she's greatly lowering attack and defense, and she's raising her own defense and attack by 50%. You know, this is a unit that potentially has the ability to, triple quad super? Because you got your base super, you got your base super attack, and then you have the 50% chance, so that's 2. And if the enemy is stunned, you'll get another additional, so that's 3. And she'll be critting the whole time if they're all stunned, if the unit is stunned. And then you have your hidden potential, which is 4. So this is a unit that can quad super. So, I mean, there is an argument to be had based on the fights that you could be taking her into. I would say additional is not necessarily a bad thing to be giving this unit. What I do think is worthless is giving her crit. I don't see any reason to give her crit. She has attacks effective against all types. She has all of these abilities to be lowering attack and defense, to be sealing, to be stunning. Great 70% chance to stun is crazy. And then with the teams that she's on, you know, Peppy Gal's team has loads of sealers, stunners, lowering attack and defense units. So, I mean, she has the support around her to be able to use her kit effectively in the fights that you should be running her into. So, but anyways, everyone, I think that's going to be it for the video. So please do tell me how you decided to build Marcarita and Caway. Are you going to go with Marcarita just being a full dodge unit and then put the rest into additional? Or are you going to be weird and give her crit? I also want to know what team you're going to run her on, because she's not technically a Peppy Gal. But then with Caway, I'm curious on what people are going to be using Caway with. She is primarily just only 200% on Roshi's team, but she can be used on other Peppy Gal's teams. I actually am going to use her in the burst mode right now. I'm going to use her in a burst mode right now in the game. And I might give her a little bit more additional because of the lowering attack and defense and all the other stuff. So I haven't decided yet. But anyways, let me know how you're going to build these 2 units. And have a good day and a good night, everyone.